Hey YouTube Nation, so as the world has seen now, Canada's in the news for the wrong reasons again. My family in the US told me they saw the story on the London riots, and again another riot where people are just destroying things for the sake of destroying things, and just all this kind of foolishness going on. And I was just speaking with a buddy just recently, and we were getting into this whole talk about these riots, from the Vancouver riots to some Occupy protests that have gone wrong to school riots in Canada and the US. And my friend is younger than I am. I'm in my mid-30s, he's in his mid-20s, so he sees this as kind of like youth rising up and taking on the authoritative people and businesses and government and blah 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 blah. So, I kind of got, we went back and forth, and I kind of got a laugh out of it. And I told him to watch a movie called The Inside Job. It's a documentary, Inside Job. And, I knew he wasn't going to be big into the documentary, but I wanted him to watch it for a reason. Inside Job, if none of you have heard of it, it's a documentary about what happened to the financial system in the US, why the housing crisis happened, and more importantly, why normal people are screwed, regardless of who's in power or what happens. So, I told him where to get it, and he watched it. And so I was asking him, what do you think? And, he got riled up like, this isn't exactly why we need to rise up against these big banks. They're screwing us over, and yak, 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 yak. And then he finally said what I was waiting for him to say, that he's like, man, the system is so convoluted and complicated. And I go, exactly. That's the problem when I look at many, like what happened in London. These riots with these young kids who think that going against the system means destroying shit, destroying private property, having kind of like an anarchistic view of the world where it's just destruction, mayhem, and somehow that's going to make, give the little people, the 99%ers power. It isn't. And when you look at some of the comments on some of these YouTube videos where they're like, this is scary, these are the leaders of tomorrow, they're going to screw us over, there is some truth to this, to these comments. And the fact that if you watch any documentary, there's tons of them on the financial crisis, the one common thread that you'll see is that it's a complicated system. And it was made complicated by the people who are in power. I know President Obama gets a lot of flack for pretty much putting the bankers that screwed over everyone into the positions of fixing the banking industry. Bush did the same thing. Republican, Democrat, it makes no damn difference. The people who run the International Monetary Fund, who run the Federal Reserve, who run these big banks, I don't care if it's Goldman Sachs or Bank of America, whatever, these guys know exactly what they're doing, and they don't care about average people, middle class people like you and me, the poor. They don't care about any of us because they know we don't understand what's really going on, how insanely complex they've made the system, so only they can fix it. These guys created this mess, but really it's so messy and just so freaking convoluted. Ultimately, they put themselves in a position that we're the only ones who could fix this. And I'm sure they're sitting at home watching their TV, seeing all these riots all over the place, just seeing the anarchy that's taking over this world, and they're just laughing. Because, those kids destroying everything, these are not the ones who are getting the education necessary to go into the financial markets and pretty much regulate how money works. Because money runs this damn planet. I don't give a shit how much of a hippie you are, money runs this damn planet. And if you don't understand money, you have no control over anything. These guys put their kids into the top university. So in the US you have Rockefellers, or whatever they're known as now. You got Trumps. You got, in England they got the Murdochs. Here in Canada we got the Westons and the Rogers families. And these people put their kids into the top schools and craft them and quaff them to take over, to run things. So these families just keep on running our economies, these one percenters, and this is why they stay in power. You could destroy as much shit as you want. You're just giving them power, and frankly, it really pisses me off to see, young kids, like I'm a Generation Xer, mid-30s, by the time these kids really get into the positions where they're supposed to control things, I'm going to be retired anyways. These guys, are not really putting their time into really learning how to play the game, not destroying everything. And when they destroy everything, they destroy mom and pop businesses. I remember when the G20 was in Toronto, and these anarchists were lashing out at authority by destroying businesses owned by mom and pop people, like small little entrepreneurs, the backbone of every country, of every industrialized country, the small business owner. They weren't destroying, Loblaws or Staples or Royal Bank. They were destroying the little variety store owned by an immigrant who, was hustling to make ends meet. That's not helping anything. So ultimately, the point I'm trying to put out there is that all these rioting and all that is just going in the wrong direction. And frankly, stop blaming, for the London riots, I've seen a lot of comments where people are blaming that movie Project X. Let's stop blaming everything else and start looking what human beings do. We're very flawed creatures. We're the only creatures on this planet that will just kill something for the sake of killing it. For no logical reason. A lion will kill to defend itself or for food. We'll just go and destroy things just for the hell of doing it. It makes no damn sense. And what we do is we start pointing fingers in every direction. So we blame everything that's around us. So when I was looking at the comments of people leaving about the London, Ontario riots, of these college university students destroying shit on St. Patrick's Day, they blamed St. Patrick's Day. They blamed alcohol. They blamed movies like Project X. They blamed video games. No, don't blame any of that shit. We are the masters of this planet because we're supposed to be able to do cognitive thinking. We're supposed to be logical. If you play a video game with violence, doesn't mean you turn around, take this fictional game, and do it in real life. You watch a movie like Project X, which is entertainment. It doesn't mean you go and start setting houses on fire and destroying cop cars, and they were even attacking firefighters. Who the fuck attacks firefighters? Like, that's the most ridiculous. How's that helping anything? So it is scary. I'm sure there's younger viewers who are going to lash out at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're going to be fine. We're going to run this world. But you know what? The way things are looking, it's going to get worse. Because, world economies are collapsing. Whole entire countries are collapsing. Greece, many of these European countries that have been strong economic engines are falling apart. And unless you really have intelligence to figure out how to repair these countries, you are screwed. You can blame the baby boomers all you want, but pretty much unless we create a new crop of educated youth who could rise up and using their intelligence figure out how to fix these problems that pretty much you've inherited, the world is going to be screwed. So, all I'm saying, that maybe this is going to be ignored, but for God's sakes, guys, what, the young generation, I don't know what this generation's called now, the tech generation, whatever, but you guys got to get your shit together. Because you're going to inherit a very broken world. Unless you know how to fix it, it's just going to continue to get broken. And if all you're going to do is destroy shit just to lash out, you might as well just burn this whole damn planet. And then you have no one to blame but yourselves. Let's stop this foolishness. Let's stop blaming everything. And understand how money works, how international policy works, how government works. Just destroying shit is not going to help anything. You have to go and run things and run it better to make things better. That's all I have to say.